This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Darryl Parks On Demand.
And yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Not going to take it anymore. 6 after 9. Good morning. Welcome to the weekend. Darryl Parks on Saturday midday. I told you last week, didn't I? I said this IRS thing's going to be big. I told you. I hate it when I'm right. Well, not really. Every scandal has to be judged by its cover-up. For those of you that have read history, you got Richard Milhouse, you got Watergate. It was about the cover-up and not really about the burglary. The Catholic Church over the last decade, the pedophile priests, one priest after another molesting children. True, horrific, the worst crime of crimes. But it was the cover-up that bankrupted many dioceses, and it was the cover-up that brought down, they don't admit to it, that brought down a pope. You had the scandal at Penn State University a few years ago with our friend Jerry Sandusky. Jerry Sandusky molesting boy after boy after boy, and it was the cover-up that brought down Joe Paterno. And now we have the IRS. In each of those examples, the cover-up comes because there are those that will do anything. Their first inkling, their first reaction is to protect the institution at all costs. And sadly, I predict this morning the institution of the IRS will be protected as well. It will. Fact, the IRS has over 100,000 employees. And get this, the IRS here in the tri-state has almost 4,000 employees in Covington and downtown. Now think about every major American city. There's an IRS office. There's an IRS office in Chicago. There's an IRS office in Columbus. There's an IRS office in St. Louis. Name the city, there's an IRS office with hundreds of employees. Fact, a root cause of this scandal, and I'm going to call it IRS thuggery, is the Citizens United ruling, which allows billions, and I mean billions, to flow into American politics. Fact, the IRS thuggery was known before last November's election. Right there, that's the damning. Right there, that is the damning statement. And has, that's the base of this cover-up. Fact, moving forward, the IRS will be the enforcement arm, the muscle, if you will, for the Affordable Health Care Act, which is known as Obamacare. So, you have the IRS now investigating organizations that may not be politically friendly to the party in power. Now, they're going to be the muscle on you with Obamacare and your health care for you and your family. Fact, before you think this is an outrage against conservatives, there have been Republicans wanting the IRS to audit AARP, the Old People's Organization and Lobbying Group. Why? Because they're in favor of Obamacare. And I'll go back in history a little bit. The thugs at the IRS have investigated the NAACP. They have investigated black churches. They have investigated many other groups deemed as unfriendly. And by the way, those two examples I just gave happened during the Bush administration. And then, of course, back to history and Watergate during Nixon. And when he was president, he had that so-called enemies list where the IRS was used to harass people deemed unfriendly. If there ever was a time to abolish the IRS and fire almost everyone at the IRS, this is it. It is time for tax reform. It is time for someone to finally do what's right. Not only is it about the billions of dollars flowing into American politics, it is about protecting the institution at all costs. Tax laws have to be changed. Last Saturday, I brought up the 501c4. You have these political groups claiming they're social welfare groups. Why? Why? There's nothing in their DNA that is about social welfare. Yet you have the IRS, the thugs at the IRS, chartered to police what is a political group and what is a social welfare group. It is time for a flat tax. It is time for tax reform. And I call on, look, I know there are politicians that are in Washington that listen to this show. Which of you are going to take the flag and run up the mountain? Which one? Steve? John? Which one? Rob? No? Sharon? How about you? No? That's right, you're going to hear crickets. You are going to hear crickets. Because it's all about the money. And it's all about those billions with a B. Billions and billions of dollars flowing into American politics. And it cannot be interrupted. It cannot. This scandal tells you everything. Everything you need to know about your government. This scandal tells you everything you know and need to know about the future of our society. This is it. The IRS is involved in every one of your lives. The IRS is involved in my life. You cannot escape the IRS. And the United States government, using the thugs at the IRS to limit your opinion. I mean, this is big time constitutional. I mean, this goes right to the big number one. Yeah, freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Because if the United States government doesn't like your opinion, they use the IRS to punish your thoughts. And by this I mean the people that contribute to political organizations. Now, I will be upfront. I have never contributed a dime to a candidate, to a political action committee, or to a political party. Not a dime. But many of you have. And now you have to fear that your name is on some kind of blacklist at the IRS because you have given a few bucks to a Tea Party organization. And it's not limited to the Tea Party. It's limited to any. I mean, it's it's any political organization, any political party, any political candidate. You have to worry about this? This is huge. Absolutely huge. And if you're not outraged about this, wow. You really do have your head in the proverbial sand then, don't you? Wow. This one is huge, as scandals go, because it affects every one of you. 16 after 9 on the big one. Looks like a rainy weekend. We'll check out the Fox 19 forecast in 4 minutes on 700 WLW. Summer festivals begin this weekend. It's Mayfest in Covington, and here's the Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast for today. Scattered showers, a few thunderstorms are possible with a high of around 80. Tonight, cloudy skies. Again, showers and thunderstorms, a low of 62. And then for tomorrow, looks like some showers with a high of 82. Cloudy, 64 at the big one, 700 WLW. I'm Darryl Parks, 513-749-7000, 1-800-THE-BIG-1, pound 700 on AT&T should a line become available, and I cannot believe people are not more outraged about this whole IRS thing, because this has a direct effect on everyone. From the beginning of each year through April 15th, you ought to be pissed off at the IRS. Absolutely PO'd at the IRS. But many of you don't really even pay attention to the amount of taxes that you are paying. Let me read something to you from the Washington Post, because this paints an incredible picture of the IRS. Dateline, Cincinnati. The fog of the scandal hangs over a boxy, modernist 10-story building that looks like a monument to paperwork. Shrubs and chain smokers flank its front entrance here on Main Street in the heart of downtown. Every day, 2,000 employees go to work at various federal agencies in the John F. Kennedy era structure, whose chief tenant is the IRS, which is having just about the worst week an agency can have. Up on the fourth floor, with its gray linoleum, low ceilings, and fluorescent lights, file carts heaped with manila envelopes. Its keypad-coated doors labeled 4-022, which is the file room, and 4-034, the supply room. The determinations unit of the IRS Exempt Organizations Office is at work. Kind of paints a picture, doesn't it? And that is what's happening in downtown Cincinnati, with about 700 employees, thugs, being paid to investigate you and your activities. All right, Fairfield. Lou, you're on the big one.
Hey, how's it going?
Lou, I can't be better. How about you?
Well, I tell you what, I am one of the, 330 million Americans that is outraged to the fact that you nailed it when you said about tax reform. You know, I don't mind as an American. I know we need to pay taxes, to run a government. But when I have to pay 23% overall in taxes, and some guy that's making 4 and 5 times me only pays 18%, that's wrong.
Yeah, there's a problem.
That is just
Lou, think about the money that is spent just doing taxes and figuring out people's taxes, whether it's through an accountant or, H&R Block, whoever, all right?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Billions of dollars is being made on this. So the more complicated it is for people, it protects, as I mentioned, the institution. And then this is the institution of taxes. All right. This could be pretty simple. Lou, you make $50,000, whatever the percentage is, you make $50,000 for sake of argument. In this case, 10%. Send in $5,000.
Exactly.
That's all we need to do.
You are so right. You are so right. Everybody across the board just paid 10%. They'd still make money and everything because, a lot of people can't own a home now, can't afford one. Why should someone who does have the advantage of that tax break when the other one maybe not because of something bad, they just can't afford a home?
No, Lou, everyone in society, you, me, everyone, the thousands of people listening right now, everyone in society must have an active part in our communities. And part of part of living in any community is paying your taxes. I rail against taxes and high taxes, but I understand that. There is a cost of our society for schools, for good schools. There is a cost of our society for having our roads plowed in the winter. There is a cost in our society to protect ourselves from thugs coming and breaking into our homes. There is a cost in society if our house burns down that we have a fire department to come and put water on the fire. I understand that, and all those dollars are good dollars, but it's made too complicated. There is no reason we have to go and spend hour after hour after hour trying to figure out our taxes and what break can we get here and what break could we take there, and donate to here and get a break in your tax. Whatever it may be, it's wrong. Everyone should have to pay to be part of our society, and a flat tax is fair. If you make $5,000, send in $500. If you make $10,000, send in $1,000. Everyone has to pay a percentage, and that's the cost of living in our community.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And just one other thing, I'll let you go. I know you got other people this thing of, let's face it, every one of those politicians, not to say, no disrespect for the ones that try to come there as an honest person, but doggone it, if we can't come up with more that better, the 100 senators and 400 and some odd representatives that are not being paid off by every lobbyist to do a job, that is so wrong. Wrong in our country.
Lou, I'm telling you, and I mentioned it before the break, you're going to hear crickets. You're not going to hear anyone call for tax reform. And if there ever was an example of the need for tax reform, it is this. And look, this is not the first time this turd has floated up in our society. Believe me, it's been done for decades. All right, the IRS being used as thugs to punish people that may have an opinion contrary to, let's say, the administration. But this is the example. This is it. And I want to know who is going to take the flag and run up the hill with it. Who is going to be the one to lead the fight to protect you? They're not going to do it because at all costs, it is about protecting the institution. It's about protecting the institution of the Internal Revenue Service. It's about protecting the institution of the status quo in government. Lou mentioned there, about people, going into public life. I firmly believe that people that want to serve in a public office, they go to it with good intentions. And within a matter of weeks, they are corrupted by the system. I laugh when people are sworn into an office, whether it's a congressperson or a city council, whatever. And I laugh. I mean, it's just like, they're there, they're going to do good. And right after they're sworn in, whoever the leader is, I'm sure they pull them in a back office and say, hey, it was great. You ran a great campaign. Welcome to, whatever the organization is. And then now we're going to teach you how it really works. We're a minute away from news with Tom Davis on the big one, 700 WLW. 700WLW.com. Go to my blog. Search the word Darryl. Who's worth more, Oprah Winfrey or Julia Louis-Dreyfus? It was Elaine from Seinfeld. The surprising worth of some celebrities, including Ozzy Osbourne and Bruce Springsteen. 700WLW.com. Search the word Darryl. 10:06 this morning, how the IRS is targeting you. Besides, if you contributed to a political organization and they want your name. They want names. Correct spelling. They want your phone number. They want your address. But how are they targeting you? We'll do that at 10:06 here on 700 WLW. About 25 in front of 10 o'clock. So we have almost 4,000 employees for the Internal Revenue Service just in Cincinnati. And you think this is not about protecting the institution? It's about protecting the institution. There's another issue here. And the issue is political organizations v. social welfare organizations. Now, this all hinges upon a 501c4 status of an organization. And their primary activity, 51% of their activity must be social welfare. This, too, was created by the politicos in office. And this, too, is an example of why there will be no tax reform, there will be no call for a flat tax, while all these jackals, and that's what they are, they're jackals. They may have gone to Washington, they may have gone to city council, they may have gone to become a county commissioner or, up at Broaden High or wherever, Indianapolis, state capital of Indiana. They may have gone there with good intentions. But once they get there, they are corrupted by the endless supply of money coming in. And it will never change until you starve the beast. And the beast must be starved. Because if the beast is not starved, this type of harassment, this type of, infringing upon your rights, which it is, I mean, at its core, this is, look, I'm not a constitutional attorney, but at its core, I can read the Bill of Rights. I know the first one is we have a freedom of speech and a freedom of expression, and that freedom of expression is contributing to a political organization should you choose. Should you choose, without fear of any type of harassment or any fear of any type of retribution. Yet it is going on. This is absolutely huge. Big. And moving forward, not only about political organizations or the primary activity of a 501c4, there's no reason to have a 501c4. And I'll take it one step further, whether it's a political party or it's a church. They should not have tax-exempt status. Period. Period. I don't care what church you belong to. I mean, think of all the land a church, whether it's the Catholic Church, the Archdiocese of Cincinnati, or it's an Episcopal church, or it's a Church of Christ, whatever it is. It's big business. That's what it is. And they should not have tax-exempt status. Billions are flowing through those organizations. Billions are flowing through political organizations. And as long as you have people that are charged with protecting the status quo and protecting the institution at all costs, they're going to come up with ideas like a 501c4. They're going to do it. What the hell is the difference? I mean, the whole smoke screen. The whole smoke screen. Well, this political group, and it doesn't matter what the ideology is. It doesn't matter what the party is. How could you sit there, if you're a member of one of these organizations, with a straight face and say we're all about a social welfare organization? It's crap. At its core, it's crap. 20 minutes in front of 10 on the big one, 700 WLW. Looking for caller 7-513-749-3700. The Frisch's big boy, big play of the game from last night in Philadelphia as the Reds took on the Phillies. Caller 7, good luck from Frisch's and the home of the Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati Reds, 700 WLW. This afternoon, 4 o'clock game, 5. Oh, by the way, last night's score was 5-3 with the Phillies winning and snapping the winning streak of the Cincinnati Reds. Reds and Phillies this afternoon, first pitch at 4:05. It's Bronson Arroyo on the mound for the Redlegs. In other sports, it is pole day at Indianapolis. If you're heading over to Indianapolis, be ready for some rain. Looks like a wet pole day. Practice this morning, and then qualifying happens this afternoon. Also, the second leg of the Triple Crown is running this afternoon. It is the Preakness Orb. Again, Favored. As a matter of fact, the smallest field in the Preakness in umpteen years. 513-749-7000, 1-800-the-big-1, pound 700 AT&T. Should a line become available, I'm Darryl Parks. And you got the thugs at the IRS going after you. You know, we tend to focus on organizations, you know, and in this case it's focused on some Tea Party organizations, but, you know, it's also going after you. That's what this is about. I mean, think about this. One group in Ohio reported that the IRS wanted to know what materials they had discussed at any of their book studies. A group in Tennessee was asked to turn over the names of all high school and college kids it had trained. Who have you indoctrinated? A pro-life group was asked to submit a letter in writing saying it would not protest Planned Parenthood. Let's call it what it is. The Ideological Revenue Service. Ain't that nice? The thugs at the IRS. Becky writes to D. Parks at 700WLW.com. She says, Union thugs, it figures. Great show. Keep hammering. Oh, Becky, I will. Trust me on this one. Rich writes to D. Parks at 700WLW.com. He says, hey, Darryl, cleaning out the garage this weekend. Enjoying listening to you. See here. I'm right in the middle of all this IRS stuff. We'll see how it all plays out, but I'm glad you're covering this in the way you are. Nobody has the guts to do anything but talk. The question is, what will everyone do once they see how bad this situation really is? But there is no will to take the next step after the tough talk abates. Now, here's the deal. They're going to have all kinds of hearings, you know, like going on now. The Steve Miller, he was testifying yesterday. That guy had no clue. Former head of the IRS. You had one congressman that got a standing ovation and applause after his rant. It's a lot of talk. You know, even if they have a special prosecutor, okay. There's going to be an investigation. There's going to be a lot of lips moving. There's going to be a lot of, verbose conversation. There's going to be a lot of FaceTime on Fox News. There's going to be a lot of FaceTime on MSNBC or CNN. There's going to be a lot of babble. Yet no one, mark my words, no one will do anything because they are going to protect the institution. Rob is in Goshen, 700 WLW. Hey, Rob.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man.
On the taxes, I work for a temp agency. I make $9.40 an hour. I live in Goshen. I work in the factory in Mason. I would like to recite you my 6 different taxes that are taken out of my 40-hour paycheck a week. May I?
You may. Number 1.
FICA, medical hospital insurance, $5.45. OASDI, disability, $23.31. Withholding dash federal, $30.22. Withholding dash Goshen local, $3.76. Withholding dash Mason, $4.21. And lastly, withholding dash Ohio, $6.69.
Yep.
Which comes to a whopping on a 40-hour paycheck, $73.64. My wonderful check on the week is $302.36.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's amazing. You know, Rob, do you figure out your own taxes?
No, sir. Right. I have a private CPA, and he charges me very little money to do it.
Well, I mean, no matter how you do it. I mean, but one of the things I do each year is I figure out my own taxes, and I do it for this purpose, so I can get PO'd when I figure out the taxes and file them.
Yes, sir.
And each year I put on a calculator and I walk over to my wife and I show her a figure, and she'll ask me, "What is that?" And I says, "That is the amount of money taken out of our paychecks before we even see it."
Yes.
And it's mind-boggling. And if you're not, Rob, you're paying attention to this, but the fact is most people are not.
I agree.
People that pay property taxes, they pay it out of escrow. They never even see their property tax bill.
That's
and
why
they should.
I don't do escrow. That's why I make Claremont County mail me my bills so I can see what I'm paying.
Hey, I want Hamilton County to mail me a tax bill twice a year, And I want them to, I want to see it because I want to be upset. And I want to keep track. I want to be upset is my first, but I want to keep track of how much the tax bill is going up. And to your point, I mean, there are umpteen different items, even on your property tax bill. Whether it's the zoo, whether it's this, whether it's that, the school, obviously. I mean, that are just, they're nickel and diming you.
Exactly, and that's what they're doing to me. And what's even more sad, there's people making less money hourly than I am. Yeah.
Well, look at Rob. You seem like the kind of guy that wants to pay his taxes, and you understand that taxes are a part of living in our society and our communities, and in your case, Goshen. But I mean, you're frustrated just like I am, my friend.
I'm so frustrated, and keep on banging the drum.
Hey, I'm not going to stop on this one. This one is bad. This one is big. This is the scandal of all scandals. It affects every one of you. You may not know it, but it does. 10:06 this morning, how the IRS is going after you. 9 in front of 10, 700 WLW. 700 WLW. I'm Darryl Parks at 4 minutes in front of 10 o'clock on this wet weekend. Look, and I'm not going to stop on this one. Look, when it comes to taxes, people think I'm anti-tax. They think I'm anti-school tax. They think I'm anti-tax levy when it comes to schools. Nothing could be farther from the truth. I am against the abuse of tax dollars. That is what I'm against. And we just have to recognize when things are important. It's not about political candidates. It is not about political parties, nor is it about political ideology. It's about none of those things. It is about how all of those issues affect you and affect your wallet. The IRS being used as the muscle is I can't even come up with the correct, it's like obscene. And that is what the government is doing. Hate to be all Glenn Beck on you here, but that's what's going on. There is an organization that is supposed to be, collect tax revenue, not being used as an enforcer nor as muscle. Like the mob would use muscle. And they're coming after you if you disagree. Look, I am not a conspiracy nut. I enjoy watching on Discovery Channel, Area 51. I get a kick out of those. But I really know that ET is not being housed at Wright Pat. All right? I don't believe that, but it's kind of fun to watch. But scandals such as these should make you mad. Make you mad as hell.
I want you to go to the window and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
That's Howard Beale. Be mad as hell. These things affect you and have a direct effect on you, on your wealth. These are the things that are important. Believe me. 10:06. How the IRS is tracking you and how they're tracking you now may surprise you. The home of the Reds, 700 WL.